Hi, welcome back to Dreamgirl. We are on lesson 7, and today is all about um, the inner goddess and nurturing the inner goddess. And I have shared this program with my girlfriends, so it is very fitting that there will be no men watching this. But ultimately, it is about really finding the that love for oneself as a being. So we're not talking about um, our body and our story and what we identify with, but actually just us in existence, the breath, um, life. And that is a long journey because we have been um, puppets of our ego for all our lives. So having to reset our mind, and as we learned before, our mind is not, our brain is not just the thoughts that are tangible that are then put into words, but the mind is something that is within us, in all our cells, and how we actually apply our mind and how it links in with the love we have for ourselves is the key to success in the goals that we have. So in order to set the goals that we want, which we'll learn in one of the next chapters, we actually need to know ourselves a lot better so that we don't end up wanting something that we realize we don't actually want and never did. Every thread throughout each of the lessons is about finding that love for self and increasing it. Because we have been so conditioned not to, because we have especially been women and kind of historically and culturally in a lot of patriarchal societies have been conditioned to please others, to please men, to please other women, to please our children, to kind of move away from what it is we want in order to nurture others around us. And that is a concept that really starts to screw with you because you move further and further away from your own purpose. Your purpose categorically cannot be to create happiness for somebody else. It cannot be, because we don't own anybody. We are responsible for how we feel in creating our happiness. But in order to do that, we really need to nurture that relationship with ourselves. And sometimes, in my life at least, whenever I met somebody, a person, a friend, a lover, um, a colleague, somebody I was really drawn to, I wanted to create happy moments with that person, through chats, through different ways of interacting. And I was very focused on the other person, very focused on making sure that we match, and and maybe not saying all the things that I would say or I was thinking, because it was all about the other person. And a lot of the times I didn't even realize that left me vulnerable, in the sense where I might not have been focused on myself and what it is I want. And without even noticing, over the years, I probably compromised my own happiness a lot of the times, not realizing that I did it. But that is the whole point of what was lacking within me, was that the love for self that recognizes, without guilt, that it is really important to be the strongest I can be for myself. Once I am complete, or once I can create that sense of completion, that's when I can become a really good friend to somebody else, because I have the compassion that is needed. And I think that's one of the key aspects in making sure that we love ourselves and that we appreciate the inner goddess within us. A lot of self-nurturing, self-pampering that really shows us the kind of love that we need to be showing ourselves, and that will improve that relationship um, between between our own spirit and the universe. So I think back of a situation where um, it was in my previous job that I left, and it was just one of those situations where I had um, a couple of people who did not treat me very well, and it was a nightmare, to be honest. I had sleepless nights. It's just um, couldn't stop talking about it, and really once one person left, the other person took over. It was just a nightmare from start to finish. So I ended up leaving that job because I just felt like I cannot work in that environment anymore. And I was very glad that I did. However, at my leaving do, had a good turnout, and that wasn't because of me. That was because people obviously enjoy a bit of social. But it was really nice to look at people's faces who I really, really liked and who I really appreciated over the years. And what I realized was that there were 100 people in that company that I worked with, and out of those 100 people, I loved 98 of them, and only two were nuisances, literally. Not just for me, for everybody else. It doesn't take more than two. It doesn't take more than one in that ratio. But it was interesting when I looked back at the years that I spent there in, just suffering for the most part and focusing on those two people that made my life hell, rather than focusing on the 98 that I encountered extreme happy moments with. And that made me and obviously those relationships and those friendships are continued now, and that's wonderful. But I realized in that moment, what a waste of time, what a waste of my energy, what a waste, just a waste. And the reason why I was so focused on those two was because there is this innate need in me to be validated, and those two were not validating me. The other 98, we had enough connections. They were reasonable people. They were, polite enough, so we never clashed, and so I kind of felt more validated in connection with the others. But those two that just seemed to really be bothered by me all the time, those are the two that I focused on the most. And the reason why I did was because I was still in that need of validation, because I wasn't complete. I did not have the self-love that I needed and the self-care that I needed. I allowed for people who were acting on low vibrations to enter my sphere and to use their destruction. I allowed their destruction to enter my field. Rather than being left with regret, I learned to be grateful for that time, because there is no way on earth that I will ever allow myself to go through something like that again for that amount of time. So I learned that I've become more discerning quicker. I'm not saying that I don't put myself in the same situations time and time again. However, every time it happens, I realize it quicker that no, this is not that. I'm out of this one. Let me focus on myself. So I've learned that the balance is a really, really, really important part of being successful in the 3D. So knowing this and knowing that, as souls, we always ascend, and, once we're out of this body and out of the ego and, the strain we've been given as human beings, once we're in a different form, it's just the soul. It's just the soul floating around, happy as Larry. Until that happens, we are here on earth, and we need to take our journey very seriously. That doesn't mean that life is serious. We can have a lot of joy with it, a lot of fun with it, but it does mean that we need to focus. Okay? We need to focus, because this is what I learned. When I didn't focus, I literally allowed destruction to come in. Okay? And as you're allowing destruction to come in, your self-esteem gets knocked and knocked and knocked because it is all ego related. So when we look at self-consciousness and what it actually means, self-conscious is the opposite of conscious. Self-conscious in the way we use it means that you're unconscious. You're actually unconscious. If you're self-conscious, if you're focusing on the way you look, the way you talk, the way you speak, the way other people see you, perceive you, you know, those are the kind of things that really move you further and further away from self-love, because you will be able to tell me within 1 minute at least 50 things that you dislike about yourself that make you self-conscious. And you will need a lot more time to give me 50 things you like about yourself. And that is because it's ego related, and because we're looking at something of form. Once we take that duality out, and once we realize that actually, no, we're just a being, I'm just a soul whose intentions are good. And even if I am misunderstood, quoting all the 80s, I would really prefer to feel myself as a soul. And so all self-consciousness out the window, you know. And most of you that know me will know that the worst thing for me would have been to create a video like this, or to even tell you what my pen name is, to even share a poem with you that I've written. I stayed anonymous for, you know, all my life, because I am uncomfortable with that. Why am I uncomfortable? Because I thought, you know, I'm going to be judged. You know, I'm not pretty enough. I'm not funny enough. I'm not whatever your hang-ups are. My hang-ups are. And when you realize that actually, let me just drop the ego. Let me just not worry about it. I have a message to give. I have a genuine concept to share with you that has absolutely, like, you know, changed my life 180. And it's actually, it's, you know, it's only getting better. I want to share that with you. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that my hair is wild and I don't wear makeup. It doesn't matter. What matters is that I have something to tell you, and I want to tell you, and I hope you receive it in the way I tell you. And if you don't receive it, please tell me, because then I'm not explaining myself well enough. Then I need to give you better examples. So the example I can give you for myself is that every situation that hurt me, yeah, every situation that bruised my ego was there for my learning. So I'm not discarding the ego. I'm not saying like ignore the ego. No, it is giving me an awareness of what the sort of things are that hurt me. So something that someone might say to me might offend me more than somebody else, and vice versa. So that kind of helps me to get to know, where are my insecurities? And then to nurture that. I really discovered that I think it's my relationships with men, not men, but in relationships, where I feel, I never knew who to be, you know, I never knew how, like, I thought it was like an angelic girlfriend, but, you know, that's just because I'm loyal, and, but I never knew who to be, because I was a people pleaser, and I pleased and pleased and pleased so much until I would realize that, oh my God, I'm like, I'm unhappy, you know, my needs are completely neglected and ignored by the other person. So why am I putting in so much effort? You know, it's an imbalance. The imbalance is not the other person. The imbalance is never in the relationship. The imbalance has been within me, within myself. Why? Because I never realized that actually, you know, to be able to love and to be able to be loved, you have to love yourself. And until I did, there was no hope in hell that I was ever going to have a successful relationship. And it took a long time, you know, and some people might not have this hang up, you know, like I see, you know, a lot of you guys, a lot of my friends are very happy and have been in happy relationships for a long time. So that might not be your wounding that, you know, that you need to heal. It has been for me. There are other things that don't frighten me as much, you know. So because I've always been kind of like a little bit disappointed in love, I also never had anyone holding me back, you know, because I could walk. And so because of that, I've actually kind of been very independent, and therefore I have little fear about setting up shop, setting up life, setting up, a business. And do you know what I mean? Like, for me, that doesn't scare me. It doesn't scare me to venture out into the world. But what scares me is venturing within, so that's all a running. And my brother said to me when I was I think 19 or 20, and he was just like, you just run away all the time, you just run away. And I was like, I'm not running away, I'm just, living my life the way I want to. However, he's my brother, he knows me very well. Of course I was running. And recently I realized that, yeah, it is I was only running for myself. And that's sometimes the cop out in relationships as well, is that we please other people so much because we don't actually want to focus on pleasing ourselves. It is awkward. We're not taught to do it. We're not taught to care about ourselves. And living consciously and being able to do that really nurtures that inner goddess within us. And that is where the self-love grows and grows and grows. And by growing our self-love and starting to feel complete, starting to feel healing that is deeper than anything we've ever had, giving our mind and our body the time to heal is beautiful. It is beautiful. It's very empowering to recognize, how much we can heal. And through that self-love, I'm able to heal my, my autoimmune disease. I'm able to heal feeling tired and crap and moody and menopausal and all of that. It disappears because as soon as you realize that something is tugging at you that is making you feel the way you don't want to feel, that's an indicator that you need to do something to nurture yourself, and to raise your vibrations. So something good to yourself, something like removing blockages, like spending time with loved ones, like spending time alone in an environment that you love, like being creative, creating things, expressing yourself, so that, yeah, it just becomes you. So nurturing the inner goddess just means that we really make it an ambition to focus our life and the time throughout the day to do things that really feed our own inner goddess, that feed love for ourselves. And the more we do that, the more we elevate to feelings and vibrations that attract more of that love into our lives. And you will see, the friends that are not friends, the fair weathers just disappear, and the friends that love you for who you are just come into your life. And you're left going, oh my goodness, I've got the best friends in the world, which obviously I do and I always have. So lots of love to you, and make sure you take the time to give yourself the love that you need, because that is ultimately the journey, and that is really the key message throughout all of the lessons. If you manage self-love to get to a point where you never ever ever get mad at yourself and never ever get annoyed with yourself, that is where you want to be. I'm just starting to be on that journey, but it's still it feels amazing. It feels amazing, and especially gives you that strength and the empowerment to be discerning in situations and people that you don't want to invite into your space. It's all down to you. So I wish you all the best with the exercises in this lesson in the workbook, and I will see you next time. Dream on, girl.